It's distinctly possible there were 5 people. There was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Fire blast! Yay, 2. Is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. Yes. Yes, Granny. This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once, which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Yes. Come back to our side. No, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I? Oh, there we go. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed. But is that really the truth? The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name. Mr. Bruce Fairplay. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say? Were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. Is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw? In a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant, I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilder's gloved hands. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilder. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. What is up, everybody? I am the story-driven gamer, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing with the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. So in the last episode, or I guess episodes, we started a trial. I thought there'd be an investigation, but I was wrong. It looks like, based on the trajectory, it looks like this whole case might be a trial. Which, thinking back on it, there were other games that did that. I think the third game, there was a trial, like a trial only chapter. Besides, I'm not talking about the tutorial ones, other than those ones. I think Spirit of Justice had one. Yeah, so it happens. But yeah, so I just wasn't expecting it because I thought we were going to an investigation and then this happened. But that's fine. It's been really good so far. We actually have been doing a little bit of investigation. They've brought the crime scene into the courtroom, the carriage. So we've got to, I mean, it works like examining a big piece of evidence, but it's still kind of cool, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens. So we have to deal with a jury in this. That's very new to the series, and it was a close one. They almost all voted unanimously. Or I should say they did vote unanimously to have our defendant, convicted. But we got to implement a rule. I forgot what it was called, but we got to basically question the jury on their reasoning as to why they voted that way, and they had to kind of defend themselves. It was kind of weird. It was kind of like if you think of like actual court proceedings, it was kind of a weird rule. But yeah, but it was a fun mini game though, and the goal was to pit the jurors against each other, and to get them to to change their minds. It was cool. It was fun. I guess we discovered that Bruce Fairplay, one of the witnesses, can't necessarily be trusted because his name was in that ledger. He owes the defendant a lot of money, and if McGilder was convicted of a crime, this crime in particular, his debt would be null and void. So even though Fairbanks, was adamant that he saw what happened, that's called into question. And he did later admit that he never actually saw their face, but he was pushing it because he had a stake in it. And yeah, and the other thing that this hasn't been confirmed, but it's a theory I have, is that the actual victim culprit might be Male Strongheart, the Chief Justice guy. He just seems like it. Again, the only evidence I have for that is the knife, because we've established it's an M, and he's the only other person with an M. And come on, he looks evil. He's that powerful, corrupt character we see in a lot of these games. So it's totally plausible. Oh yeah, and I guess the last thing is that we found out too is that as we kind of suspected, there was a third party, and that I guess we don't know how, but McGilded was asleep or knocked out in one of the chairs that couldn't be seen from the, from the roof window. And it was actually the two people that were seen that the witnesses thought was McGilded and, and the victim. It was actually McGilded and the third party. And I guess the third party was dressed as Magnus McGilded. So, as usual with these cases, kind of crazy, but that's the gist of it. And as the series has been going on, I've been trying new things with, like, my editing and stuff, changing things up. So just, let me know what you think works, what doesn't. I'd like to hear your feedback on that as well. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? Aye, I have. To be sure, I have, my lord. There are now 2 matters on which the court desires to hear from you. Right, so now we're calling him to the stand to testify more about what he was doing in the, or what he remembers from inside the carriage. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you on the omnibus cavern as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Whoopsie, silly me. Begad, no. 'Tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell you all, or keep me mouth shut? Oh, how did I forget also in my little intro there? We met the new prosecutor. He's really cool looking. He reminds me, which I said in the last episode, like a vampire, especially when he has his chalice. It looks with, I guess, wine in it, but it, I don't know, has blood imagery. I don't know. He's cool. I like his design, if nothing else. We don't know much about him yet. I feel like we probably will learn more about him as a character, but right now he's just cool. He reminds me of some like someone from like Castlevania or something. Tell us what, Mr. McGilded. I'm waiting. The fine fellow representing me is absolutely right. In the carriage in the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. Oh, okay, thanks for letting us know. It's true? I thought he honestly didn't know. Fascinating. Aye, and 'twas me who helped me little urchin get away after it all happened. Oh gosh, okay. You... What? Okay, what the heck? I was not expecting this. What the dicks? No, Magnus McGilded. That convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry, so I am, Lord Van Zykes. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? I don't know. Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not in any way involved, you see. What? Come again? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this courtroom just like myself. Wait, it's a woman? I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. Did I hear that right? He was covering up for a woman? Are there even any women in my, in this record? It was Suzuto. She's the only woman. Unless someone's disguised as a woman like this guy. He's a bit of a weenie. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That, I don't know. Okay, yeah, a young child, or a young person. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee thing just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since. Objection! We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. If the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Okay. Smoke! Fire! There's a fire! Look! Trying to get away! After them! It's no use! I can't see anything all the smoke. Oh, why do I have a feeling... Why do I have a feeling we're gonna get a to be continued very, very soon? I expected when they called him to this is what I was afraid of. I expected when they called him, you know, we'd have to, you know, cross-examine him at least once, and some stuff would go down. Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Stop, drop, and roll. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff, amid scenes of chaos as people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that, for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. Oh. Maybe we are going into an investigation then? Either it's just gonna jump us ahead in time to, you know, the trial resuming. Or, you know, maybe we will do some investigating. Huh, okay. Well. What are we, 10 minutes in? I think that'll wrap this up for now, guys. Nah, I kid. Why did I know that was gonna happen? Like I said, they set it up so that I thought, like, we'd at least cross-examine him a little. But I didn't know, you know, there's no way to know. I didn't know it would be interrupted. Oh no, it does say trial part 3. So, part 3? Oh, this was part 2? I guess the investigation was part 1. That little intro section. Anywho. Okay. So let's keep going. We're not stopping there, obviously. 18th of February, 12:52 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I've managed to find out what happened. Tell us. Miss Suzuto. I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade. A type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of thing ninjas use. Precisely. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. Dang. Who could have been responsible for that? But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who's trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be? Oh, you know who it might be? I only know because she's like on the art for the game. There's like a little girl. I don't know. She has like pink hair. I have a feeling it's her. I think she's some kind of inventor or something. I don't know. That's all I know just from looking at her. My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit of herself? And McGilded was protecting her or something? I don't know what her role in this is. There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, that's right, that was one of the other discrepancies. According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo... Da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. He took 4 passengers that night, at a fare of 5 pence each. So that would be 20. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, so that should be 25. Which means the figures don't seem to add up again. Yeah. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, officer. We're going straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Miss Suzuto. Yes. Ooh, okay. Let's see if I'm right about who this girl is. 18th of February, 1 o'clock p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh. Wait, that's her? Okay, I'm wrong. If that's her. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilded, look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilded. Now then, Lord Van Zykes. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious! The army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. And now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in the courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? Answer me, woman! No, I don't think I will. I don't know what voice to give her. Ahem. If I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilded? I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why it is that this wee lass has here in the first place, and why she tried to vote like that. 'Tis all tied up with the events of the night, so it is. Explain. Very well, Mr. McGilded, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. I'm surrounded by idiots. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. No, of course not. I feel like we're always in the dark about a lot of things. You witnessed testimony. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra! A loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self. This is very random, but I was watching this movie recently, and I guess she just kind of reminds me of her. I mean, I know we haven't actually seen her personality or speak yet, but it reminds me, I was watching, like, the Tim Burton Sweeney Todd, and she reminds me of, like, what's her face? Sweeney Todd's daughter, like, when she's in the, when she's dressed as a boy, because she also was, like, blonde, and, you know, obviously it took place in this type of era in England. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. Oh man, so either she is the third party, or is there a fourth party? Oh my gosh, I'm so... Technically there could be, but he said that she was like rolled on the up on the floor. I don't know. This last was the fifth passenger, my lord. Okay. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. That's how I feel. He's like, I'm going to enjoy this. Bring it on, Von Zykes. Okay. Let me just see if anything sticks out to me that, like, I'm like, oh, I can present that. So that's right. McGilded is sitting across from the victim and the third party. So the fellow who's collapsed on the floor, he must have woken up after the murder took place. He sat, you know, the victim up. And then he saw the girl in there. So I guess naturally he would assume the girl, you know, was responsible since she's the only one else there. She's the only other one there. Okay, let's... Sometimes I like just starting in the middle, you know? You set him up? The victim, you mean? And that's how he got blood on his gloves. That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Our Lord Van Zykes? Nah, why would that be? You wake to find a man lying at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Whoopsie doodles. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. He didn't want to get the police involved. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is as thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Or are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no! I was always intending to report it, so I was. Only, I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Oh yeah, let's see what the scream was. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the cabin except for yourself and the victim. It could have come from up top, I guess. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well, now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard was, as I woke up, was the girl, right? It came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Hold your tongue! Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. I did notice that. We weren't able to examine it, but yeah, each of the seats had like a storage area. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. Okay, I'm pretty sure I tried. Maybe that's giving me permission now, like, now that we've talked about that, now we can actually go into the cubby hole and check. Yes, let's just go inside. Oh, there's blood on the floor. Was this here the whole time? Yeah, it doesn't look like you can, except, I don't know. That's blood, isn't it? I'm gonna do this again, because I don't remember examining the blood on the floor, just the seat. Is something wrong? Oh, it's just... Well, this bloodstain is so obvious, that's all. And yet Van Zykes had made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Yeah, really. I want to know how I missed it, unless I'm misremembering. Okay, let's check, I guess the seat then. This seat has a handle, it seems. There we go. Let's see what's inside. This is a storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. So only this seat does? Because I didn't see a handle on the other one. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a person could definitely fit inside there. Okay, so let's check. Let's ask about the child. Hold it! You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball when our eyes met well. Me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. Ugh. You're really overacting this. Still and all, I pulled her out from under there. And sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chin wag with her. I grabbed her chin and went blah 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 blah. The seat opposite. That's right. Just next to the dead gentleman there. You shot this young girl next to a corpse, sir? In retrospect, that was not the best idea. Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see? Intriguing. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Okay. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. That's right, he did say he screamed, okay. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not, in fact, see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage and out of sight. Ah, okay. Okay, so was I maybe wrong about the whole idea that the girl was dressed as Mr. McGilded? So does that mean that the girl, unless there's something else we find out, does that mean the girl just sat there in the clothes she's wearing now? And she was just mistaken as Mr. McGilded for some weird reason? It is certainly possible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature. And readily confused perhaps with this young girl. Yeah, because they look so similar. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over as the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo. Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony. Let's just say it's trying. We certainly had precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilded before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must just try to learn all the facts we can. Okay. Ha. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day planning out like this. Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling. Sit up straight. Even in your head. How did you know? I'm psychic. Teehee. That's a Danganronpa reference. Okay. So I guess we'll just go back to the start. I think we have 2 more points to press. And when you first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were? I see. Aye, and that's why I took the backside as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means, is how you already described it earlier. I am talking about the seat opposite the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, 'tis the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. You're being very quiet, Van Zykes. Beggar! I don't know what that means. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage, but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream? Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume? Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. Oh, what? How is that possible, if there's only the 3 of them? But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. Thank you. I've heard enough. The event you explained is clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? Yes, we still don't know. She hasn't said a word. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She is a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. A thief. Yes, a pickpocket. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Question is, why was she on the omnibus? Was she just traveling? Did she have a purpose in mind? Order! Order! I'm a pirate. Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Is she in the court record yet? Yep. Oh, there we go. Now we get to see her face. Gina Lestrade, 17. Didn't they say she was like 15? Or were they guessing? A young woman who witnessed the incident from a hiding place aboard the omnibus on the night of the murder. She was discovered by the defendant. Yeah, the fact that she was hiding too. She was my guess is she was planning a pickpocket on somebody. Maybe the victim. Maybe Mal if he was on there. Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Oh gosh. Ah! The judge always gets attacked in these. What the heck was that? What the heck was that? How dare you? What is the meaning of this? I'm free! I'm free! Ah, the girl! She's gone! Again! We really need better security in here. Open your eyes. I'm over here. What voice did I give her? Over here. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you'll say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast. Stink bomb! I like her, though. Okay, I'm really trying to, I feel like my voice is all over the place. I really just don't have that much, variety with the female voices. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, all right. Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Not quite. Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Ah, do not wave that thing in my direction again. Or I will have you beheaded. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? I like the music. Is there a little theme or something? Maybe. 'Tis alright, lass. You can tell them the truth now. Okay. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. Okay, there we go. There's a confirmation that he is Irish. Okay. Not that I was going to change my voice at this point, but... The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we'll now hear your testimony, if you please. Let's do it. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus in the night in question. Or on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. Giving her kind of like a high-pitched, Cockney accent, I guess, is what I'm going for with her. She definitely seems to have that kind of, that kind of accent. What the girl saw. So, I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked me up to the horses, just like always. But it was right at all waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'll tell you. You can't see a bland thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Pitch black. Then, after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped out me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that. This swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. That's a good question, though. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? Do tell. As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think... Oh, yeah. Literally, to get out, the seat has to lift up. Right. I think a demonstration is called for. Yeah, we did this ourselves. This is where I sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Yeah, this whole seat has to lift up. Yes. It does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of this girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I'd parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah, of course. So, you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if her young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord. Not at all. Oh, what do you have to say, juror number one? I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Hiya! There we go. The jury continues to side with us. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Huzzah! Okay, is that everybody? Yep, that's the last two. We did it. Again. Saints alive. All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning to a verdict of not guilty. Mr. Naruhodo, this... Well, it must mean... It must mean what? That we're victorious! Yay! And then watch Van Zyke's like, hold it, not so fast. When the jury leans, you know, all the way to guilty, I have the right to you know, use my prosecutor ability to turn it back. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like the defense they just keep going back and forth. We've won? Are you sure? Yeah, I knew he'd cut in. Oh my gosh. Kicks for days. Oh my god. Get your foot out of my face, sir. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray, do forgive the discourtesy. I think he said that when he took the chalice out, too. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. Are you gonna tell me that there's some kind of back, some kind of back exit or something? Hidden compartment? The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. Oh. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord. The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilden's story, Someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Oh, gosh. It just gets worse and worse, doesn't it? Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been affected, Council? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Oh, maybe that's why it didn't let me open it. Maybe at that point when I first examined it, at the beginning of the trial, maybe it actually was full, but I didn't actually get a chance to look. Pray, what did you find the condition of the under-seat compartment to be? Unless it was locked, I don't remember. Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Come again. Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zykes. Well, Counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? I really don't remember. How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of the little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? I mean, I honestly didn't look. I don't remember looking, right? Yeah, I honestly didn't look. I definitely don't remember opening it. So, I'll be honest there. Sorry, I'm a failure. I didn't look. Why didn't I examine the omnibus more thoroughly? Perhaps I credited you with too much intelligence. It seems, my lord, that this Eastern initiate is as unreliable as wine from the barrel. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, gosh. Well now, it would seem the argument is moot. And the truth of the matter is there for you all to see, after all. That there cubby-hole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Damn it all. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. Oh, you haven't heard from this guy in a while. The compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guard rules state the omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo, isn't that irresponsible? That money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Dang it! No, stop it. Uh-oh. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The sinking rich are always stinkers. The stinking rich, always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, the lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. No, I think this is supposed to happen. I think. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. That's right, the original testimony that, I was thinking we were going to get a new testimony, but I don't think we ever questioned the one that the girl gave us. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. What of it? I am awesome. Okay. Here we go. Round 2, Van Zykes. What the girl saw. Okay. Questioner about this. So, you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I would push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I could have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I got under ain't as pitched as the other one, see? So most of the time the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in me carriages, so it's odd option's choice. Why don't you just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick out under there. Nothing else for it. Okay. So clearly at some point I think Magnus over there is going to react to something. Hold it. When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? No. I believe in my client. Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and had a quick butcher's knife while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke what had fallen on the floor in the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilda's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should never have risked looking. You regretted it. Okay. So this is the part where he says he found her. And when Mr. McGilda discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place? I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah. The bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh. How awful. Both me hands got covered in blood. It made me sick as a dog. Oh, there we go. Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passengers saw. Okay. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilda for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to and that. Then I heard something from above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would presume. Well, I didn't want one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and there the Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." I see. Okay. All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we could clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. And I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me. Like everything else in this trial. but I just can't quite put my finger on it. I'm not really sure yet. Okay, let's start from the beginning. So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending a Joey and make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, ain't it? I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. Ah, okay. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red conk of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself in under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach, no? Can we prove it, though? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. I seem to have reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Now. Okay. So this is the last one, I think. A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own in the guard permit at least some of the time. I beg your pardon? Did you say guard permit? Oh yeah. Well, that's what we can't call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got one in it for a while. And that's when you came out of your hiding place and get away? Okay. That's it. Only that night. This cove was sat on my seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure, to be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. Okay, we didn't learn anything new. I pressed her on everything. So maybe there's something we gotta present. I'm honestly not sure. Okay. It said we need to find like a new piece of evidence, right? Because it said we have to find a conclusive piece of evidence. So maybe I should keep an eye on him. Maybe they won't make it obvious. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. Oh. I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. Okay. Now what do you have to say about that, mister?
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something in the matter, counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps? You seem to be thinking something to yourself. So what is it she said? She said, like, she's afraid of dark places, reminds her of jail. Oh, no. 'Twas nothing important. Is that right? I was feeling a bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. I'm a wuss. I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything? An unusual noise, perhaps? Uh-oh. Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. For jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp. How dare you? What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. What could she have maybe heard? Another voice? Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? I would say it's significant. It's profoundly important. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is the profoundly important part. I'm almost sure of it. Okay, so... I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of the Eastern Mind Council. Nevertheless... Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating the last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it ain't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I'll have your head. You can't keep me down. Okay, I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. Do we have evidence that points out there should have been some other noise? I mean, the omnibus itself? Are we implying that the omnibus should have been making noise? Oh, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of based on the evidence we do have. I'm gonna try pressing her first. But yeah, maybe that means the carriage was stopped. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time? Since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then, when I was this swell getting on, I got me head down, so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilda sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug! So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? Because he has such a weird way of talking, and I'm trying to do the voice. I want to make sure I got everything she said. So she was listening. I was waiting to jump out there as soon as I heard him leave. But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. I'm just gonna go with it doesn't add up. Miss Lestrade, we have just told the court. It's clearly at odds with the facts. Ah! At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. This I'd like to see. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So, Van Zykes realized it too. Counsel? I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, okay, I have to pay attention to this. While she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilda's snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Oh, wait. Are we implying... I was saying the omnibus, but he screamed, right? Leda first screamed. I'm gonna go with that. I hope I'm on the right track. Because I don't think they're getting at the omnibus itself. Although, I mean, that could be. That'll be my next guess. But I'm gonna go with... Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. The sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person. Okay. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm on the right track. Damn it! It would seem phantoms are at work again. This time in my Nipponese friend's ears. I concur. No sound is apparent to me at all. Okay, it's gotta be... I should have gone on my gut. I'm still not even sure if that's right. Allow me to introduce you to a sound that will be very real indeed, however. The sound of your death throes. Grr! Man. Ugh, he's right. That was loud. Like, what else could it be? If we're talking sounds, there's nothing else in the evidence besides the omnibus. As far as people goes, he's dead. He's not there. That's the, we already know he's snoring. I don't know. Why would he be making any noise? He's on the roof. Yeah, the omnibus, I guess. Okay, please be right. Ah! Okay, so let's think. Something she should have heard. So not the omnibus itself. I'm just trying to think back on everything. Who else should she have heard? Him? Okay, let me think of the order of events, right? Like, she's saying the whole time she heard nothing but snoring. Should she have heard him? Like, talking? Because he was in there. He was the only other one in there. I mean, he could have just been quiet, but... Right? If he was still alive... Oh, that's right, I'm on. Here we go. Here goes nothing again. I really don't want this to be an instance of, like... I'm just lost. Like, I don't know what's... There we go. Thrice fired, Mason! Okay. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Right. Order! Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got told while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person aboard the omnibus was Mr. McGilded? That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at the time? Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for the swell to leave. Okay, okay. So I couldn't remember that part. I couldn't remember, like, what the order people got on. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? So, I guessed right in the end, but again, I was a little off on the why. Ah! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah! Interesting. The only thing I can think of now, although, I don't know how that would work. I was gonna say, like, so, what my thinking now is, if they nobody ever heard anybody else get on the bus after those two, and obviously they didn't see Mason on the train, I guess, then, no, that doesn't make sense. I was gonna say at some point, like, when they said that there was, like, luggage and stuff inside the compartment at first, maybe it was his body in there. Like at the very start of all this, like when they got on board or whatever, was Mason's body in there, and then at some point they switched. Like what's her face ended up in the. Does that make sense? We'll see. I don't know if I read that. Lord Van Zykes. Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? Douche nozzle. You have demonstrated matters impeccably. Well done. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Okay, so... yeah. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. What'd you say, Sonny? Uh-oh. What are you about to do? I don't like this. Ah! She didn't even say anything. She just did it. I didn't want the judge to do a little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman. I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Hair, ten, hut! Okay. We were doing so well before. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Let me pour a drink of grape juice. Well, consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable trouble you have spared me. This is tasty. Yes, very refreshing. I do love me some grape juice. Grr! What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amaran? This is carnage, it's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going... I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. McGilded's innocence, the jury will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Don't you dare! Put that hand down! That's right. I have something to say, and you will listen. Listen to me! Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying, dear boy? Counsel? What the deuce? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my abjuration. Explain yourself at once. I will do that. Right now. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness. The carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Again, the only thing I can think of, the only thing that came to mind was that he was initially in the compartment. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. Yep, he was in there already. He was put there after he died. No. No, that wouldn't make sense. No, that wouldn't make sense. I'm gonna go with this. Clearly, he was in there already from beforehand. Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that clearly in your last dance? Hmm? Well said, Lord Von Zykes. The clearly is troubling me also. No, no. That's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been in the carriage from beforehand. Then answer me this. By beforehand, to what specific point in time are you referring? Well, clearly, okay, I guess I was wrong. Again, what else is new? Okay, the only other option is afterwards. Oh my gosh, I literally have one thing left. I'm just skipping all this, I don't care. I don't know if I'm just... It's hard to focus, like, doing all this voices and stuff, or what, but I'm just not understanding something. Okay. I doubt there's another entrance, so I'm gonna say he was put there after he died. Please be right. The victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed. Really? Okay, this is wrong too. Come on. There was really another entrance? Do we know about this other entrance? Or are we just kind of deducing that that's the only explanation? If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. Oh wait, he's saying... Oh wait, I wondered what new fantasy would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows which cannot possibly be opened. In short, there is no entrance to the cabin other than the door. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh really? Do go on. Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. The only thing I can think of is... Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin? The only thing watch I get it wrong again. I'm so nervous about getting it wrong. I've done so poorly these last couple of things. But the only thing that I could see is, I don't know how, because you had people up here. But the window? I know you can't open it from the inside, but if you open it from the outside and jump in... That's the only thing I can think of. There we go, I think I got it. Finally, I did something right. The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight? Objection. What is this rubbish? Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However, I want to see where this is going. The skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through. Objection. So you claim, but do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brained theory? Not exactly. Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Oh! Are we saying that... Okay. So are we saying that he was killed by someone on the roof? And then was thrown down through the skylight to the ground? Oh, so it could have been Hearst or Fairbanks or both. Yes, which has already been explained. As the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it. Objection. So I think he was already dead. Maybe he was killed on the roof and then his dead body was dropped. You are now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such event in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but I mean, again, the only explanation I can think of, not that my theories have been right, they've been wrong most of the time, but is that maybe the only way would be if they were both in on it. Like maybe they both killed him, or one of them killed him and the other was a conspirator or something. Something like that, I don't know. Might the humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not such a case of them not saying, but... Aye. Ding! 'Tis a case of them being unable to say.